What's up, everybody? So I've got a tri-tip here, untrimmed. I normally buy these trimmed, but I just want to do a quick tutorial on how I trim it. And anything that I put out on social media, I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. I just do it my way. There's methods that work really good. There's a lot of methods out there. But what I would say, a lot of times people trim tri-tips and you got the commenters out there saying, oh, you removed all the fat, you took off all the flavor. My thing is, the better quality your meat is, the less fat you need on it. So if you have prime grade or above, I would say you don't really even need any fat on it because it's built into the meat. Anything less than that, you can start leaving some fat on the back side, which this is the fat cap. And then you got this is the side I want to expose the meat. You can see the silver skin, that has to go. That makes for a very tough bite. And then you've got just the fat here. So I usually like it's almost like a brisket. You like to clean the one side completely so you can get your rub and all that flavor on there, whether it's salt, pepper, or whatever rub you're using. And then depending on the piece of meat, you're either gonna clean the whole backside and get all that fat off there, or leave some of it for flavor if it's a lower grade piece of meat. So, and all you really need, I've got a Messermeister 6-inch flex knife. You can see here, there's the flex air. That allows you to kind of work through the curvature of the piece of meat, and that's it. So let's get into trimming this bad boy. All right, so let's get into trimming this. So one thing I want to say is when you buy a tri-tip with the fat still on it, it's actually cheaper per pound, but you're taking it home and you're doing all the work and you're throwing away this fat that costs you money, but it's cheaper. When you buy it trimmed, that means you're paying the extra price for the butcher to do it in-house, but you got it already trimmed and ready to go. The most important thing, other than the fat, is the silver skin, because that will allow it to be extremely chewy during the process. So I'm gonna start on the top side, and you can see here with this flex knife, it works really well on a piece of meat like this. And don't worry about if you're gonna lose any meat. You can always save that, save it for grind, whatever you want, throw it away. But I'm gonna I consider this the top side. So we'll get rid of this. You can see how thick that fat cap is on that side. I'm gonna just get rid of that whole thing there. What I want to point out is this silver skin here. See how your knife will just kind of like run underneath it, and just let the knife do the work. And you can already see this isn't, you got marbling here, but it's really lean here. So if I was to suggest leaving fat on like a piece of tri-tip, like this would be one of them, just to leave some of that extra flavor on there. So we're just gonna work our way down this silver skin. See that? If you let the knife do the work, I like to round this off a bit. It's just a thin piece of meat on the end anyways. Again, I want to clean the top side, so I want the rub to be able to stick. Like I said, it's almost, look at how thick that fat is. You could just keep going. There's usually silver skin underneath the fat that you can't see. So you got to make sure, even if you're gonna take off a little bit of the meat, you want to get that silver skin off. So I'm gonna dig that down a little bit. See, at this point, this is, you know, good fat to have on there, part of the marbling in the meat. We want to get this off here. More silver skin, and just let the knife do the work. See that? So we definitely want to clean up this end here. There's that knife doing the work there. You know, like I said, this tri-tip has spotty, you know, that internal marbling, that's internal fat that runs through the piece of meat, so that's flavor. And then here, I'm probably going to remove most of this fat on this side, even though it's not the highest grade piece of meat, but you can just take this down as thick or as thin as you want. You can see how thick this fat, I mean, that's just fat on top of fat on top of fat. So at this point, I'm just trying to thin it out, see where I'm at, if I do want to leave any. And especially if you're cooking, like if I was to do this for myself, I wouldn't mind leaving a bunch of fat on it, but the family, so if you're cooking for kids or somebody else that's a little bit more picky, you know, I'm not trying to be selfish to cook it for myself, so I'm trying to please everybody else. And so this particular one, we're just gonna clean it up completely. And so let me do that real quick and I'll get back to you guys on the finished trim. All right, trying to hit record with a knuckle, so I'm not getting it on my phone, but so here's the finished product on the tri-tip. You can see I did do both ends, and it's not the most high quality piece of meat, but I know it's gonna be good. I'm gonna just smoke this. I'm gonna sear it. I always cook my tri-tips to medium rare. Anything past medium, well, medium's okay, but anything past that and past well done, I'm not a fan of. But this is my favorite way to do it, is just cook it like a steak. But like I said, this is a lower quality, so if you wanted to leave some of that fat on the bottom side is what I'd consider it, you're just gonna be able to char it up and have all that extra flavor in there. But so as you can see here, when you buy a tri-tip that is not trimmed, this is what you take home and you end up with. Look at all that. I mean, if you're cooking for people, family, friends, not everybody wants all the fat. I mean, some people leave a lot on there, you can. It's flavor, but there's a point where you do got to get some of that off. So it is cheaper to buy it this way, but you end up with this. So depending on how you, and I like to buy them like this every now and then. It just allows you to work on your butcher skills. I'm not a butcher. Not saying any of us doing this is a butcher. There are professionals out there, but it allows you to practice on your trim game. So again, here we go, finished piece of meat. And the one important thing about a tri-tip or any meat, but a tri-tip, you can see the grain of the tri-tip changes direction. If you look here, you can see that, I guess that little marble there is running this way. So you pretty much got grain running this way, goes this way. So when I'm gonna trim this, I'll probably just cut it in half, and then you're gonna see me go against the grain this way, and then I'll start cutting it against the grain this way. That will ensure on any piece of meat against the grain that it's gonna be the most tender bite possible. So that's it. Just this quick tutorial on trimming a killer tri-tip. Now to get this Traeger fired up, get it smoked, and get it in my belly.